It
Yeah.
was super cool that you did that. And at this point, you said you had maybe 3 months training. Were you just training with Victor, or were you training at like a specific school?
At the time, I was with, I did some manager training at IWC, and then I went to Rise Pro Wrestling, where I finished my tenure. That's where I was for those couple months, um, out in Uniontown. Yeah, they're still out there. But yeah, I didn't even know how to like. I didn't know what the international was. I didn't know how to lock up. Like I really didn't. Like I couldn't run spots or anything. Like I was very very basic. I should not have debuted as fast as I did after that. Even on the Indies, the WWE match was in March, and then I debuted in June as an indie wrestler in 2018. So I still am about 4.5 years in. Like
That's crazy.
March technically will be 5 years. June technically will be 5 years. Yeah. So and a year and a half of those were pandemic years. So that
Yeah.
I think people kind of forget that. Like we like to block that point of time out, like that doesn't exist, but that happened.
I'm glad you brought that up because, and I'm skipping around with the notes. I hope you don't mind.
Oh, fine.
The pandemic is so interesting to me because obviously unbelievably tragic for a number of reasons, but it had a big impact on professional wrestling too.
Yeah,
And be, kind of what you said, a lot of people are kind of pushing away. I feel like it's not something a lot of people are talking about because obviously, to an extent, we're still in it, but not like the lockdowns and everything like it
yeah.
was then. So I think it's very interesting to hear people's mindsets during that time and what kind of struggles they were going for. And because I feel like a lot of people aren't talking about it because it was so heavy. But I'm so curious, what was it like for you being relatively new and then boom, you're getting momentum and then lockdown happens?
So we had just sold our house and moved to Baltimore for Ring of Honor, and we were training at the dojo there. And then we were driving still on our off days about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes to Chikara to train there. I absolutely loved this style, and it was more character based and lucha driven. So, you had Jonathan Gresham at the Ring of Honor dojo, like mat based fundamentals. And then we were driving out to Chikara and training there. And then they were having some sort of agreement with WWE with their catalog, and their program was going to be purchased, and everything moving forward. So we actually moved to Philly and changed our characters. Not a lot of people know this. And we're going to work kind of under that umbrella of WWE Chikara, that relationship. So we had all new gear made, everything, moved out there, signed another lease, and then the world shut down. And it
Wow.
really was a disaster. It was, I mean, we had already sold our house in Pittsburgh and moved once for a Ring of Honor, and then we did it again for Chikara and changed our characters. And it was devastating. It was absolutely devastating. I will say that we had the best training of our careers there. We did a lot of tag team work, which was incredible. That's where we got, all of the innovative moves and offense. We had promo work, character work. We did a lot of one-on-one stuff just because, we couldn't have large classes. So just my husband and I would get to go in together. We would COVID test, go in, and just get some work. So we stayed conditioned. So in that aspect, it was really beneficial, but personally, financially, like it was crushing. We
Yeah.
we then had to move back to Pittsburgh, and then I was like, I think I'm done. Like I think maybe I'd like to have a bank account again. Maybe I'd like to be able to settle in and like not move every 5 months, and wrestling just sucked the life out of me. But that comes, and I was so early on. I think everyone judges. They're like, oh, you had 2 years in, you had 3 years. Like, you think this is a struggle. But like, man, it was tough. Like, everyone went through whatever they had to go through. And like, that doesn't take away how difficult it was for us personally. No matter how long you're in some business, right? Like, life is life. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing one aspect of it. It
Especially
was,
financial burden because it
yeah,
doesn't matter what age you are, financial burden is financial burden. It doesn't.
right. Yeah. So we were moving our life. We rescued our two dogs, We have a rescue cat, so we, had to move everything again, everyone. And, it was good to get home. I think it was nice to be back in Pittsburgh, but it was really, a somber time for wrestling in general. No fans. And then we didn't really have any training up here. So it was just like everything was on hold.
Yeah, and it really was tough. And then we not have to get into this, but then there was the speaking out stuff too. So like there was a lot of time for reflection and self-reflection in the business, a lot of opportunities changing and going away. But it's interesting to me that you said you were rethinking it for a little bit, because I just did an interview with Johnny Yuma, and he went through the same thing where, it was such a struggle to find work at that point, especially safe work. That was a big thing where,
Right.
You might be able to work with these places, but are they following the protocols? Are they going to be safe for you and the fans and everybody, or if they even had fans?
Right.
So that's so interesting. And you training with CHIKARA and Ring of Honor is very interesting because, as you pointed out, they're very different. Jonathan Gresham, I mean, he was in CHIKARA too, but fundamentals and technical, he's amazing. He's incredible at it. And who were you training with for CHIKARA? Was it just Quack, or was there other trainers there as well?
Yeah, at that time it was mostly just Quack.